Hey friends, so I am back with yet another book review. This one right here is Soul Talk by Ashka Gloria Hull, I believe is how you say the name, but of course it'll be down in the description box. I don't have too much to say about this book, but I do want to say that I do recommend it. Now this book I thought was going to be about like hoodoo and like more like African spirituality, but no, this is just like spirituality in general. I think that this could be a book for any and everybody. It does more so talk about spirituality, but I don't think she ever like clearly defines even what her spirituality is and like what path she's following or anything like that. So the book is basically this woman, Ashka, did interviews with several women. So the women in the book are Alice Walker, Toni Cade Bambara, I think is how you say it, Lucille Clifton, Dolores Kendrick, Sonia Sanchez, Michelle Gibbs, Geraldine McIntosh, Mancy Alexis Devox, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Namonia Soypin. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm like horrible. Oh, and this is probably gonna be backwards. But she like just did this beautifully. She just goes into like talking to these women and about like spiritual encounters that they have and different things like that. And most of them say that they have some form of like I would say they're more on like the spiritual like hoodoo side, but they never, in my mind at least, they never like clearly just define that. But they talk about things like having like spiritual paranormal activities, I want to say, not paranormal as in like evil things, but just stuff that makes them feel good and feel comforted. And this book just talks, I'm like, my brain is like everywhere, but I'm also reading another book that's like closely related to this, and I should have did the review before I started reading that book because like everything's blending together right now. But I know with this one, she the introduction's long. She gives you like a lot of background information. The introduction itself is like about 25 pages, but they do talk a little bit about like root work and things like that, but it's not so much focused on that. It's more focused on the spiritual aspect of whatever it means to be an African American in spirituality. And let me see, I don't even know, did I say that name? She does talk about, I believe, like Toni Morrison, and I don't think I read that name on here, but that got me looking into her as well, and so I thought that was pretty nifty. But the book is really interesting. The vibe that you get is that you're talking to like your grandmother, your great aunt, and I think I said that for another book. I can't recall which book it was, but, or I might have said it for a few books, but I don't know, like I'm falling in love with books like that because I don't have my grandmother. I don't have my great grandmother. Like the oldest person in my like direct family line is my mom, and like she's I think she's a boomer, and they built different. So I'm being a little shady to her, but boomers are built just a little bit different. It's not like that old school grandma thing. Like these boomers is hot mamas, hot grannies and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. And I know some of them old school grandmas was hot grannies, but you know, y'all know what I mean if you around my age. So anyhow, this book was just so wonderful. To me, it's more of a book for a person who likes to read, who wants to really get that like background information with spirituality. I was kind of thinking of that last night while I was reading the other book, and I'm just like, there's just a couple of books that just kind of give you like the history, like Mojo Working and Black Magic give you like that history, like that background, that foundation. That's what I would say that those books are for. And then this book just kind of picks up with it and like kind of gives you that information of like, why are Black people so spiritual? Like, I don't know, like I always think about that. I'm like, you know, when you go to a Black church, because I used to be a Christian, when you go to a Black church, they're, you know, hooping and hollering and yes, and putting the hands up, and, you know, it just feels good, and you can feel that like beautiful, vibrant energy. And this just kind of gives like a little bit of background information on that, as well as just talking about these like phenomenal people. Like I think some of them are writers, but they're just all like within spirituality. And she like kind of gives background, and then she gives like little snippets of their conversations and stuff like that. So I want to say, like, I swear my brain is jumbling up. So it talks about like communicating with your ancestors in here, feeling them around you and things like that. The new look of like spirituality, like the new age spirituality as they call it. Like I hear a lot of people saying like, oh, these new witches and the new age and the this and the, and it's like, no, this has been happening. Like it's new. Like I'm new at this because I didn't know about this type of stuff before like a few years ago. Like, oh, there's this whole other, you know, side of the spiritual realm that's not just, you know, church and Christianity and stuff like that. And it seems new, but it's old, and it goes way, way back. And like you obviously, like if you've read Mojo Workin' or I think it's called Black Magic, then you know it goes all the way back, and ain't nothing new about this. Ain't nothing new. Like I've even heard someone say like, oh, way back when they didn't use crystals, and they've been using crystals since like ancient Egypt. Like maybe not in the same exact way that we were using them, but they've been using them since way back then. So I don't know. But anyways, and that's why too they're in the Bible. So she talks about two-headed people in here as well. And she also, let me see. So right here it says, communication with the physically dead is very much a part of African and African American culture. And to me, that's whether you consider yourself hoodoo or you consider yourself Christian, because Christians be seeing, you know, this and that inside these new children. Oh, they've been here before. They be, you know, oh, that was my grandma protecting me. That was my aunt protecting me, whoever, you know, that type of stuff. So come on now. In traditional African thought, for as many as 4 generations, the dead continue to visit with family and friends who knew them when they were alive. And that was, I don't know, this just popped up, but that was like a big question for me, like, because I have my ancestor altar, and I'm like, well, how do I know, like, you know, I believe in like reincarnation and stuff like that. So how do I know that the ancestors that I'm specifically calling upon possibly are still there? But this book explained that like, it works that until they're forgotten, kind of like that movie Coco, as long as they're remembered, they're still like within that realm. And then once they're forgotten, then I guess they can like kind of reincarnate. That's how I took it from reading it. She says the calling of the departed one's name helps to keep him or her alive in the human world. When no one remembers the dead person by name, they then totally cross over into the spirit dimension, dropping out of the realm of time and the present into all-consuming timelessness. So I thought that was pretty beautiful, and to me that makes a whole lot of sense, because I'm like, how do you know like who you're calling on? And I've heard other people say just, you know, call on your ancestors for your best like and highest good and stuff like that. And so that's understandable too, just like to make certain. But I do love the fact that she included that in so that you can kind of like, you know that like, hey, you know, like who am I really working with here? But I know the more you like work on your altar and things like that is going to be the more that you feel and you know who's present with you, whether you've met that ancestor here, you know, in this lifetime, or, you know, you may have never met them, or possibly in another lifetime. So she does talk about that. And then they talk about kind of like African-based spirituality. She talks about Louisa Tish, which is the author of Jambalaya, which is a very, powerful hoodoo book also, um, within the hoodoo world. And then it just goes on to like a lot of things and a lot of personal information and just like things that personally happened to the women that she's talking to within this book. I loved Toni Morris in this book. I'm like, she is my, I want to say, spirit animal. The way that she's, in my mind, presented in this book is just like the type of person that I feel like I am. I'm very much just for my people and wanting them to progress and wanting things to be right and wanting things to be equal within society and stuff like that. So I just like, I don't know, for me, I just loved her. And she's not like a lot in the book, but I started looking her up, like I said, on TikTok, and like I seen her on Oprah and just different things like that. And I just like loved her vibe a lot. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was beautiful. I think it's just something, like I said, if you are, ooh, I'm like shaking my table. If you're into reading and you just want that like foundation, like for me, I'm still learning a lot. I still consider myself like maybe like a baby or a junior witch. Like I'm like, I need to fly free. But I I'll talk with my hands a lot, sorry y'all. But I'm just having a great time with the reading and loving these books. Like these last two books that I've read, I'm really like loving them and just loving like the connection that I feel with them. And like I said, like you're just sitting talking to like a relative and they're just giving you the information that you need and just getting that foundation. And it's not even personally about, with these books for me, the hoodoo aspect or the spiritual aspect, but it's just learning from the elders and their wisdom and things like that. And I just think that is so beautiful. And I would just recommend it. It's an easy book. It's kind of long-winded, I want to say, but at the end of the day, it's really a good read. And something to set, like if you're looking for that foundational aspect and kind of like why we're into spirituality so much, like why it's so important within our community, and what it means for us, and especially us as women, because this is like a women book. And yeah, so I hope you liked the review, and until the next one, have a good day.